Greetings and welcome, family, to a special page of magnets, crystals, and pyramids. As always, we begin with the following opening from Brother Baraka.
A call to action. The time is now. Summon the warrior energy in you, the healer in you, the divine masculine, the divine feminine energy in you. Every single day, we are called to walk in our purpose. Answer the call. Lay down your burdens, distractions, and anything that's holding you back and take your rightful place. The battle is all around us, and it's right in your face. Let's go.
Welcome to Magnets, Crystals, and Pyramids. Success is your destiny. Yes. Love, wisdom, power. Remember, always who you are. Yes. Yes. I am love, wisdom, power. Yes. Yes. I am love, yes, power. Yes. I am love, yes. I am love, wisdom, power. Yes. Yes. I am love, wisdom, power. Master. Yes. I am. Yes. Love, wisdom, power. Yes. I am. Say yes to yourself. Yes. I am protected. Yes. Yes. I am master. I am relaxed.
Wow, this is my first time, family, listening to the opening with my headphones on it. The beat of the drum almost put me in trance. So I want to welcome you to a Heat Wave Sunday page of Magnets, Crystals, and Pyramids. A co-host is Deborah, Miss Bliss Deborah, and we have our multi-dimensional intergalactic brother TutemRa, published author. We want to welcome you, TutemRa, Miss Bliss Deborah, and you, the listening audience, now and in the future. Folks are still pouring in. Let's do our opening to invite our ascended master ancestors. And after we do the invocation, Miss Bliss Deborah, I'm going to let you do pretty much the lead because I got to find my jug of water in the refrigerator because it's hot up in here. So I'm going to step away from my pilot seat and I'm going to let you hold the cruise. I am in me. I am in Miss Bliss Deborah. I am in TutemRa. I am in all the listening audience now and in the future. In the name of love, we call upon our true nature as the sea of love, forgiving all waveforms in this life. And yes, I am all waveforms forgiving me. Yes, I am forgiving all waveforms from past lives. And yes, I am all faithful waveforms in past lives forgiving me. And yes, in the name of love, call upon my ascended master ancestors who assist me. Saint Germain, Nikolai Tesla, Sheikh Amadou Bamba, Simeon Toko, Sheikh Ibrahim, Archangel Metatron, we invite you onto this platform to be with us. Calling upon Melchizedek, Yeshua, Black Madonna, Mother Mary. Call on Archangel Michaela, protect all the family, friends, and loved ones wherever they may be throughout this sphere of Earth's rooftop experience. Call upon Archangel of Strength, Archangel Gabriel, be with us. Archangel Uriel, Angel of Knowledge and Enlightenment, join us on this platform today. Acknowledging and inviting E Legba Oshun Yemaya Oya Ologun Shango Obatala Ogun Ochosi. We invite you to be a part of the show. Be with us as we flow. Calling on Buddha, calling on Krishna, Imhotep, Ptahotep, Akhenaten too. We invite you to be a part of this show with us through the entire flow. Seraphis Bay, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Sanat Kumara Kathumi, Master Himalaya, Nat Turner, John Brown, Harriet Tubman, Dr. George Washington Carver, Dr. Sadie, and Master Kalindi Aye. Ashe. White Buffalo, Calf Woman, Quetzalcoatl, be with us too. All the ascended masters of Atlantis and Lemuria, be with us too. Ashe. All right.
Can I invite a couple?
Brother, you're the guest. You can do whatever you want, man.
I'd like to invite
You gotta get closer to the mic. Turn up your volume.
Second in Ray, Kamos, Amos the First, Amos Nefertari, Tutmos, Jehutimis the First, Amenhotep the First, Jehutimis the Second, Jehutimis the Third, Amos the Second, Amos the Third, which is the Magnificent, my great grandfather, who was called Neb Ma'at Ra. Who else? Amenhotep the Fourth, which is Akhenaten, Sminkare, Nefer Aten, and that's it.
Ashe. All right, so Deborah, take the helm. I'm going to get some water.
Okay, go ahead, get your hydration. All right, brother TutemRa, you want to tell us a little about your book and how you started writing it or why you started to write it? So we had a little bit of confusion there as to what the book is really supposed to be represented as. So I just wanted a little clarity, starting with that.
Thank you very much for that question. And I want to say thank you to everyone who showed up in the live thus far. This is my book. It's called TutemRa, The Prophecy of Reincarnation 2022, Star Codes of Immortality, the Hip Hop Bible. So the question is, why did I start writing this book? And I'll start answering it by saying this. In April of 2020, an ancient past life came to me. And when that past life came to me, I knew I needed to write it. 2 years before that, my past life as Emmett Till came to me. And when that past life came, I'll speak about how that came to me. It had nothing to do with the fact that we look exactly alike, because I didn't realize that until about 5, 6, 7 months after the past life came to me. But when Emmett Till came to me in 2018, the year of the dog on July 3rd, when that came to me, it shattered my reality. And I began to speak on it immediately. I began to tell everyone. And the interesting thing about this is the show that I'm on right now. And if I can step away from what I was saying about my book and talk about, I should probably wait till he comes back, about Hnkh, because Hnkh is an intricate part of how my past life of Emmett Till was given to me. You know, so I come on the shoulders of my ancestors. I come on the shoulders of other people that I've met on my journey, you know, but when my past life of Emmett came, I began to tell people. I remember when I told Mfundisi Jehudimis, the Kemetic priest, when I told him, he said, write it down. And I said, okay, I'll write it down. But I just kept finding all the connections and I kept telling everyone. 2 years went by. Then on April 4th of 2020, my past life of Tutankhaten came and the name TutemRa was given to me. It was echoing in my ear. When that happened, I knew based on, see, the past lives. That's like, my book is 684 page. My past life appears on page 480. That's where my first past life appears. The book talks about my entire life. And so my years of awakening started when my grandfather passed away in 2009. I'm just looking through the book right now, just opening it up and going through it. But when that happened in 2009, I started to, it shook me. I went through a depression. He died of cancer. So I started to look into cancer and health. At the time, I was a personal trainer that was totally into making money and chasing females and designer clothes and stuff like this, you know. So, but when my grandfather, which was the first person in my family that was close to me that passed away, I took it very hard, and it took me years to recover from. But his death sparked me to studying African culture, health, wellness. I started reading, and this led me to be a bibliophile, collecting books and things like this. But another thing happened. I started to pay attention to dreams. I started to dream things before they happen. I started to, then I would realize that my father, that I didn't grow up with, that he dreams things before they happen. So it's not just the past lives. Like, that's one thing I was thinking. I was talking to her about that. But this book is not a roadmap. I think I should read the back of it right now.
Yeah, good idea.
So people understand exactly what this book is, because this book is not about a roadmap for you to find a past life. And if you understand who it is that I make claim to be, you'll see the significance of why this is important. So, but let me first read this. It goes, behold, the greatest story ever told. This book was written, can you hear me well?
Yes.
This book was written for all peoples of the world, but it is more intimately directed to those in bondage. It is important that you know that this life you are living is not the end. There's a great chance that you might come back here again. So we must make the world a better place, not just for the children of the world, but more importantly, we must make it a better place for our souls to come back to. It's one thing to be born into racism and white supremacy, but it's another thing entirely to reincarnate into it over and over and never know it. This is not science fiction, sci-fi. This is science reality, sci-real. This is a real journey of self-discovery. This is a divine revelation brought forth in an equation of intuition, time, space, coincidences, dreams, visions, synchronicities, and other profound variables manifested in a musical display of mathematics of the heart, driven by the hero's journey of the soul, all of which was governed by the unseen realms. Behold, the reincarnation of Tutankhaten, the golden boy who has fascinated the world since 1922, and Emmett Till, the boys whose death sparked the civil rights movement in America 67 years ago in 1955. These two boys are fragments of the same soul from different times. A fragment of that soul was born again in 1977 as Dawood Eddings. In 2018, Dawood realized he was Emmett Till in a past life, and in 2020, he realized he was Tutankhaten, King Tut, in a past life, after which he was given the name TutemRa. For those who wonder about what happens after death, the story of TutemRa's many lives put all debates to rest. We do come back after death, and some of you have been here before. This book is not a road guide to find a previous life. Instead, it is a roadmap to self-improvement. And by improving oneself, you can open doors to secret places and experiences that most people think are only regulated to fantasy. By reading this book, it will help you read the patterns in your life, leading to your divine purpose in life. Good luck and safe travels. We will win. We have already won. And so, since Brother Hnkh has come back, I want to say, like I just said, this book is not about you finding a past life, but this is my journey. I wasn't looking for a past life, but very well, you might read this, and because, you know, out of sight, out of mind, but when you have something on your mind, it helps you tap into stuff. I was not looking for it, though. I'll tell you the things that happened that helped me bring it forth. But even before that, let me say this. I'm happy to be here on Brother Hnkh Rising Sun show with Deborah. My mother's name is Deborah. No coincidences. But my tomb, Tutankhaten's tomb, was discovered in 1922, the year of the dog, on November 4th. It was opened on November 26th. I met Brother Hnkh Rising Sun. I would meet him at the African Arts Festival in 2018, the year of the dog. It wouldn't be until a year later that I realized that I met him in 2013 when I bought I bought a piece of technology from him at the Harlem Week.
Yes.
It was a Tesla coil for the water.
Yes.
Purifier. I remember he was with Brother Jeff. I bought that from him. And then I would see him again in 2014. Actually, the good thing about my book is that when you go through this book, like for instance, I'll show you. This is the page where I meet Brother Hnkh Rising Sun. This is him right here. Well, this is the page at the festival where he helps lead me to where I need to go. But in here, when I get to this point in the book, I lead you back to where I first met him. And I first met him on December 7th of 2014, page 312. So actually, I met him a couple years before that. So let's go there, 2014. What did I say? December 7th, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I met him at the Melanin Conference at the Black National Theater, and he gave a lecture on Simeon Toko. But I met Dr. Lila Africa at these events.
Yes.
I met Dr. Lila Africa here. You know, I got a couple of my books signed, and he talked about Simeon Toko, and I found that to be very, very intriguing about the reincarnation of Simeon Toko. And I didn't know him at the time. I didn't remember that I bought the coil from him. So why am I telling this story? Because the book is about patterns. When you're going through a journey in life, there's patterns that are happening. See, I didn't know him when I bought the coil from him, right? But he's born in the year of the dog in 1958. He's born on November 25th. Brother Hnkh Rising Sun's born the day before my tomb was opened. My tomb was discovered in the year of the dog. I had my past life of Emmett Till in the year of the dog. So see, this is a pattern, and I'm going into this pattern. I can't tell you all of them. The book is about patterns and coincidences that are not coincidence. One time is an incidence, twice is a coincidence, 3, 4, 5 is a pattern. But can you tell the difference? You understand? So with that said, I would meet him. I would hear him speaking about Simeon Toko, and many people spoke at this Melanin Conference. Dr. Lila Africa spoke, many people, but that Simeon Toko, that triggered my mind the most. See, and I was not consciously into reincarnation. I wasn't thinking about that. I never was thinking about who I was. However, I heard a brother named Mitchell Gibson speak about how our birthmarks are connected to previous lives. And since I have these birthmarks on me, this black dot here that comes right out in my back, I have the one right here, which coincidentally I would realize is the same place that Emmett Till was shot, and the head was shot in the temple. I have one on the back of this ear, and this ear on Emmett was cut off. So what happens is that, so let me segue from here with reincarnation, because that's what this was about, right? So let's talk about reincarnation for a second. So the Dalai Lama, the Hindu religion has kept reincarnation. They kept the teachings of reincarnation, even though reincarnation is solely what ancient Kemet was about. It was about the repetition of the soul, the coming back of the soul. But the Dalai Lama, let's speak the Dalai Lama, because the Dalai Lama, they said that the person that's the Dalai Lama, they're the same soul every time. When the Dalai Lama is said to die, they check the birthmarks of the first and foremost, before the Dalai Lama dies, they check and see that they ask him where he might come again, or the person might come July 4th, 2019. I met Hnkh. All right, so I'm just reading some of the stuff right there. So, but they also check some of the birthmarks, some of the attributes and facial features and things like this for the Dalai Lama. That's how they pick the person. And before they search for the baby, and they put it through a vigorous testing to say that this is the Dalai Lama, you know.
Wow.
And so in ancient Kemet, we are going by what a lot of people who are conquerors, what they have been able to deduce from what they have saw, but they didn't practice this culture. They are not the people from the culture, but they have, try to give us what this stuff means. And so
Right.
what they're trying to tell us is that we thought that we were going to take all these things in the tune with us in the afterlife. Now, that's not true. It would make more sense because the whole thing about the Pharaoh is to become one with the Tsar, to become one with a Tsar dwelling inside of man, the Atman, right? The Asar being. So we come again, resurrected. That's what the whole thing about Kemet was, coming back again. Asar returns through his son Haru. They had this through the Lion King and everything. So all these other stories tell our story. So these things were put into tombs so that when the Pharaoh, if the Pharaoh could make a successful Asarian resurrection, you could go back to your tomb and collect your things, right? So this is the reason why things were put in the tombs. We didn't put them there because we wanted to keep our. Come on, it doesn't make sense. We were ascended beings. We understood that we could come back here. But let me go back to this. Because some people in the chat just want to know, how did you find out? How did you know? And,
Right.
And the book it's not just that, but I'll entertain that for a second and tell you this. I'll tell you that this book is not about how I'm a perfect person. No, this book is about many of my failures, many of my mistakes, but it's also about, like I said earlier, about when I started to pay attention. Aten, Tut-Hnkh Aten, Akhenaten, Aten, attention, the sun. When I started to pay attention, and actually sun gazing was a part of paying attention, cleansing, detoxing, abstinence. I don't call myself a vegan or a vegetarian. I'm just a human being, a humanitarian. So I don't take the names of, but I don't eat animals. Being more conscious of what I put inside of my body, being conscious of what I think and what I say. So as I started to go through this journey, as I was saying before, I started to dreams. I started paying attention to dreams. I started to dream things with people, come back and remembering them. I started to dream things before they happen. I started to do things like think stuff, and immediately as I think it, what I thought would manifest and happen. So what is that? That's one of the 7 principles of Jehudi. That's the first. That's mentalism. That's the power of thought, right? How we affect quantum level events from with our thoughts, with our mind. And I write about these things. All these events are in my book. This book is about spirits and things like that, about other people who I've met along my way, who are the reincarnate. Actually, I have. Let me give a plug. I have a book signing party at Sion Cafe, and this is Haile Selassie right here. Haile Selassie, who was born yesterday. His birthday was yesterday. He was born 2 days before Emmett Till. And he died August 27th, the day before Emmett Till, right? And so why is that significant? Because King Tut, my life is Tut-Hnkh Aten. I was born in Akhet Aten. And that city now is called Et Til. El Til or Et Til. Til means mountain. But Et Til or El Til, the mountain. But like Emmett Lewis Till, E-L Till, Emmett Lewis Till. None of these things are coincidence. Emmett, in my life as Emmett, I was murdered at 14 years old. Asar was cut into 14 pieces. Peace. I'm not sure who Vissa is, but peace. Asar was cut into 14 pieces. My death as Emmett Till was an Asarian resurrection. I was thrown in the Mississippi River. Take the M off of it is ISIS. Right? So I was murdered in 1955, the same year my mother was born. But I'm going to have a book signing at Sion Cafe. It's an Ethiopian restaurant here.
TutemRa, where exactly is Sion Cafe? It's here in New York City?
Yeah, it's at 763. It's at 763 St. Nicholas. It's in Harlem in Sugar Hill on 148th Street between 6 and 9 p.m. But why did I bring that up? Because look, this is Dutch Matt's bureau. This is his Minister of Defense. You can't really see it, but this is right here. Wait, this guy right here.
Mm-hmm.
Let me put it right here.
Yeah, I see him.
In his past life.
He what?
yeah. All right. So yeah, that's a hard one, right? So here we go. Look, let me make it easy. This guy right here died. Then he was reborn again as this guy. This guy was the Minister of Defense for Haile Selassie.
Okay.
Now he lives again in this body, and he owns an Ethiopian restaurant.
Oh,
I would meet his wife in 2014. It's in the book. But why is this important? Because the murder of Emmett Till sparked the civil rights movement. This book is not just about, this is a document. All right. This is not about, oh, I was Emmett Till, look. Or, oh, I was King Tut, look. No, this is a document. I've been saying I was Emmett Till for 4 years. I've been saying I was Emmett Till. And so we've got books like 1984, you know, all this, the Big Brother, watch, everything, cell phone.
Right.
So, you think you say something and then your cell phone is selling it to you. You search something into your cell phone is advertising it to you, right? So the very next, so I know I'm jumping all over the place here. Let me sew one thing up real quick with Brother Hnkh Rising Sun. Let me just say this. I graduated as an Egyptian Kemetic yoga instructor in 2018. The day that I graduated as an Egyptian yoga instructor, we went and we ate and we got our certificates. My yoga instructor was Isir Hotep. His name is Isir. That's another name for Asar or Osiris, the Lord of Resurrection. All right. His logo for the course was the Necha He, the Necha for infinity, millions of years. If you type that into the internet, you're going to find many different glyphs of He, H-E-H. But the one that he has for his logo is the one that's on the royal chair of King Tut. Prior to my revelation of my life as King Tut, I knew very little about King Tut, although I have been saying him in my music since 2011. I knew very little about many pharaohs. I knew about Ramesses. I knew about Akhenaten. I wrote about Akhenaten first in 2013. Black Seed Osiris, Sea Sunset looking for Aset Isis, Black Duality Crisis, born in this white man's world of civilization. When I think about a king, I'll be thinking about Akhenaten. I wrote that in 2013, I believe. That's the first time I said Akhenaten's name in Iran. I'll be the black, see now, I can't, there's so much for me to talk about because it's called the Hip Hop Bible for a reason. Because the oldest utterances are utterances to make sure that the pharaoh is resurrected into another life. So when you open your mouth, you can be speaking from your ego or you can be speaking from your soul. And so because I was speaking from my soul, my ancient soul fragment was coming into existence and I wasn't even aware of it. So I wanted to tie up with Hnkh Rising Sun. I graduate as a Kemetic yoga instructor. I didn't grow up with African culture, and I also want to speak to that because there's a lot of people in the community of Awake and Content on Woke, and they have this ego. They think that just because they sat at the foot of Dr. Ben or John Henry Clark took them to Nile Valley, and they was with John Henry Clark, and they was his student or their mother, all of this stuff, that puts them at a higher rank than some people. Well, I'm going to tell you, I come from a land far, far away, Far Rockaway. I didn't grow up with African culture. I didn't grow up knowing African culture. I never wore dashiki, you know what I'm saying? Never had one. I grew up with a Muslim name, but didn't practice the religion. Do you understand? So, and this is for all those people out there who feel lost and don't know. You can recruit, you can transform yourself, you can come flying into existence from seemingly nowhere. And there's a lot of things I wanted to say here, because this journey, when you're trying to find yourself and when you leave, you can feel alone. And one thing I wrote here is never kill yourself. This is what I was thinking. I was taking a bath earlier because this journey, it can be depressing. And my music comes from depression. My music comes from Black people being murdered. This is what used to fuel my music. Somebody would get murdered. I said, double agents flagrant. Everett Gardner dead on the pavement, replayed and changed it. These games are ancient. King. When I said this, I said King Tut Tank Amen Ramen. I didn't even know how to say the name Tutankhamen. I said double. That's how real it is. I wrote that in 2015. I don't know the exact date.
Right.
Double agents flagrant. Everett Gardner dead on the pavement. Replayed and changed it. These games are ancient. King Tut Tank Amen Ramen. Cleopatra the now. Tell me why they lying. It might take a while to stop crying, but when you're done, return to the Father through the Son. I did not know I was TutemRa when I wrote that, and I did not know that my father was Akhenaten, the one that venerated the sun. But what was I was writing about things that mattered. Do you understand? So I would meet Brother Hnkh Rising Sun. I would buy his Tesla coil in 2013. Why? Because I was on a journey.
Right.
I was trying to get water that was cleansing my body. It made sense to me. So I invested in I invested in technology that he took time to make. Right. And by doing that, by investing in a brother that's doing things to help us, I helped myself. Then I would meet him again. I would hear him at the Melanin conference on December 7th talking about Simeon Toko. And then when I would graduate as a Kemetic yoga instructor, some girl at our ceremony, she would say, "Hey, let's go to the African Arts Festival." I had never, like I was saying, I didn't grow up in, I'd never been there before. It was July 1st of 2018, the year of the dog. We went there, and I heard a voice in my ear while I was there. The voice said, "Walk away, you're going to meet a woman." And this is not the first time that this is why this book is 684 pages. It's not the first time Jill Scott Heron also said his music was because of this pain and street. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's Sherry. Yeah, exactly. So I heard a voice, but that's not the first voice I ever heard. I had heard a voice would tell me to cross the street. I would cross the street and I would I would run into somebody that I need to run into. You understand? This book is about things like this, the paranormal stuff that people think of. When people are hearing voices, they say they're schizophrenic, that they have a mental disorder.
Right.
But some people, sometimes it's not a great reason or a great situation that allows the veil to break down. And sometimes they smoke crack. They may have smoked heroin. They may have took MMDA or something like that, too much of it. They may have got hit by a car, bumped their head. You know what I'm saying? And then now they're hearing voices. And you think they're crazy, but they're not crazy.
So I have a question. So what you're saying is in the book, as you change your diet, you start meditating, you start, taking better care of yourself. You started to recognize all of the signs and the symbols as you went along. And instead of thinking, oh, I'm hearing voices in these signs, like it's nothing and tossing it away, it's more like you acknowledge them and you begin to follow the trail.
Yes, and something a little more. There's a guy that made the cloud. I don't know his name. I don't know if he fully developed the cloud for Apple, that the cloud, or he had something to do with the development. He's the brother-in-law of a buddy that I know named Sunseed that does gong therapy. See, gong therapy. So my journey came from, I started going back to school. I went back. So I went broke. So I said, don't kill yourself. I went broke. I started smoking weed in 2013. I never smoked weed before in my life. I started smoking weed at 33. I smoked weed for 2 years, and I think I made up for all the years I never smoked weed. Oh. I smoke almost every day. But see, I didn't drink alcohol till I was 21. I didn't smoke weed till I was 33. And I stopped drinking alcohol at 33. Prior to that, I was an athlete, a soldier, ran very fast, didn't do drugs. I drove cars fast and ran fast. And I lost my train of thought. What'd you ask me right before that?
I was asking you about recognizing your intuition and the signs that are there.
Oh, I was saying the cloud. So what happened is this. I would start to be able to put patterns together. There's something with my brain, something with the way that I think. I started to put patterns together, and I started to. It started with dates and things like this, and I would connect dates and how I would meet people. I would start to pay attention to that. Like the reason why I went to the Kemetic yoga course was the dates of the class. One of them was May 19th, Martin Luther King's birthday. The other one was May 20th. It was Toussaint Louverture's birthday. Then it was June 16th, Tupac's birthday. June 17th, my grandfather's birthday. June 30th, my friend Sherry's birthday, and her sister's Javette birthday, July 1st. Because of those birthdays, I knew it was a sign for me to take that course when it came up. And I sent the money and I took that course. And I'm at the festival. I hear a voice in my head. It says, "Walk away, you're going to meet a woman." And so usually when you listen to somebody and they say that they hear a voice, it don't mean nothing to you because you ain't hear that voice. So you just got to take what they say for face value. But the interesting thing about my book here, it's not just my story. It ain't just me. Because right before I made eye contact with a woman, she heard a voice. Her name is Mars. She's on page 474. She heard a voice, and the voice said, "Look up." As soon as she looked up, we made eye contact. But I never knew that she heard a voice. Right before I was ending this book, I was telling her I was excited, and I read the part when I wrote about her. She said, "No, you got it wrong." She said, "Listen." She said, "Right before we made eye contact, I heard a voice too. The voice told me to look up." See, this is where it goes beyond just subjective. This is not my subjective delusional experience of my own, because it's beyond me. Something was happening where I had met the check marks, and the ancestors had ushered me on a blind initiation that I did not know that I was on. And so I would meet Mars. I'm a Scorpio. Scorpio is governed by the planet Mars. Mars would invite me back to the festival. She has a son named Moses. Moses is Akhenaten, King Tut's father, right? The story of, so let me break something down for people. People who might be Christian or things like this, a lot of these motifs were taken from the dynasty of the age of Aries. And I'm going to drop this here. I have this written in my book. The missionaries were sent out to bring the Bible to people, right? But what is called missionaries. What does that mean? The age of Aries is the age of the 18th dynasty. The mission was to still the archetypes and matriarchs and monarchs, the patriarchs and matriarchs of the 18th dynasty, missionaries, to take them and to rewrite a divine story. Solomon and Sheba is Amenhotep III, who is Neb-Ma'at-Ra, the Magnificent, and his wife, Queen T. That's Solomon and Sheba, Queen Sheba. That's who they stole that story from. Right. King David, the great warrior pharaoh. You can't find the great warrior person from the Bible is none other than Jehutimus III, the great warrior Nesut-Bidi that they call Pharaoh. You can't find any of the temples or any of the ruins or any of the cities that David was said to have built. But you can find everything Jehutimus did. You can find it on the walls. Jehutimus IV had a dream. He had a dream that the Sphinx, Hararakti, came to him and told him to clean the Sphinx out, and he would be crowned pharaoh. Dreams are a part of ancient Kemet, all right? And so I would be dreaming things before they happen. I would be seeing things. I would be hearing voices. I met a woman who's got a son named Mars, who's born on April 5th, the day after Martin Luther King was assassinated. Martin Luther King would be driven to prominence after the murder of Emmett Till. My last day in the army would be Martin Luther King's birthday. I would have my past life revelation of King Tut 2 years later in 2020 on April 4th, the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated. When I became a massage therapist, I went to school. I took classes at Riverside Church, where Martin Luther King gave his speech against Vietnam on April 3rd of 1967, and a year and a day later, he was assassinated. So why did I bring up the guy with the cloud? I met this guy that created the cloud, and this is like in 2015. I met this guy at 16, and I'll be telling him all these patterns that I was connecting. And he was like, "Yo, I've never met anyone that could connect these dots and these patterns the way that you do." Right. You know, it's like he said, it's like what he said is like I was decoding the matrix of my life, which is basically what this book turned out to be. See, what would happen is at the festival, Mars would invite me back to the festival to do chair massage, and I would agree to do that. But while I was standing there with Mars, see, it's not my subjective experience. This is not something that I need you to believe because I said it. No, this is a prophecy of reincarnation. It's bigger than me. So right here, as I'm standing here with Mars, the reason why I have a picture of it The reason why I have a picture of me and Mars is because an old woman came up. Mars is born on February 4th. She's born on Rosa Parks' birthday. Rosa Parks is the one that refused to get out of her seat on December 1st. Because of that, she had just come from a meeting that Martin Luther King had organized. Martin Luther King was not the Martin Luther King we know. He was just an organizer.
Right.
And she left that meeting. They talked about Emmett Till there. Some other pastor, I forgot his name. He spoke about Emmett Till there, and that was pressed upon Rosa Parks. And when she got on that bus, she said, I can't go back. She said, all I could think of was Emmett Till. Martin Luther King went to bail her out. And that's when they started the Montgomery bus boycotts. And that's when Martin Luther King rose to prominence after the murder of Emmett Till. Now she is born on Mars's birthday. I mean, on Rosa Parks' birthday. Rosa Parks died on October 24th, the day before my birthday. So an old woman comes up, takes my picture, gives me her information, she leaves. Mars invites me back to the festival. I come back on July 3rd. Just by happenstance, right, I come wearing an Emmett Till t-shirt. I bought that t-shirt in the beginning of the year in 2018. I bought it from a company that I bought a lot of t-shirts. I bought the one with Khalid Muhammad, Harriet Tubman, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Jack Johnson. You know, I bought a lot, and Emmett Till. The Emmett Till t-shirt happened to be my favorite. And when I would wear this t-shirt, the weirdest thing would happen. None of the other t-shirts had happened, but I would wear this t-shirt and old black ladies, all of this is in my book. They would look and say, is that you? And I would be like, no, that's Emmett Till. Because I had never looked at myself and looked at him. I had no reason to. I knew who he was. I'd actually written about him in music. 9 times before I said his name 9 times before I knew I was him. And the only reason is because all of my music was about the murder of black life. And every time they murder someone, the first thing when they murder a young black male, the first thing you think of is another Emmett Till. So, you know, so I had been writing about him.
Right.
I come back to the festival on July 3rd. And now here's where the Kemetic priest Mfundisi comes up again. Mars, she invited me to come back and do chair massage, but she was vending outside the festival. And I got early there on that Tuesday. I came back on a Tuesday. I'm born on a Tuesday. Tuesday is governed by Anubis, the dog. remember, it's the year of the dog. The dog, Anubis Mpu, he is the protector of the souls of the dead. So now I go into the festival and I see Mfundisi Jehudimus. And I say, Mfundisi, can I vend next to you? I had met him years prior, in like 2012, on page 233. You'll see when I met him. Then in 2014, for some reason, he was vending on 125th Street across the street from Red Rooster. All of this is in the book. He would be wearing this cuff on his wrist, and for some reason, I had to have it. And I saw it and I was transfixed. 2014 is when I really became obsessed with the scarab. I bought a t-shirt with a scarab. I'm a personal trainer, so I was thinking transformation. I transform my body. I help my clients transform. And so that's why I thought I was drawn to the scarab. I didn't know that my ancient throne name was Neb Keperu Ra Heka Ma'at. I didn't know that. Because remember, I didn't know anything about King Tut really. You know, it's actually Toot, the proper way to say it. But I bought this off of his wrist on May 25th of 2014. Emmett Till was identified by a ring that was on his finger that said May 25th, a silver ring. Right? His uncle identified the body. His uncle's name was Moses Wright Jr. All right. So you see how it's all connected. So I come back into the festival. This is the ring right here. The ring that Emmett was wearing.
Emmett Till was diagnosed. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
So now I come back to the Mfundisi says, yes, I can bend next to him. And see, this is not a subjective. This is not me. This is not something that you ain't gonna never meet Mark, Luke, John, Jacob, Abraham. I already told you who some of them people are anyway. You know what I mean? You're never gonna see their tomb. You're never gonna see their house. You can't go to a museum and see nothing they ever owned. But you can go to Kemet and you can go to the museums and see all the stuff they stole and that they got in the things they call museums. And you can look at the African people of the Nile Valley. You know what I'm saying? So he allows me to come vin next to him, and like I said, it's not subjective because as soon as here's my friend Hadia. I wouldn't realize this. I wouldn't realize this into the significance of me right after I left Mars on July 1st. Like 10 seconds later, I run into Hadia. A lot of people know Hadia Barbell. She does the Goddess Gloves, but I met her in 2005 when I was personal trainer. I used to train her with good friends, right? And so what happened is when I realized I was King Tut in 2020, I would realize why I ran into her right after. Because remember, a voice said, "Walk away, you're going to meet a beautiful woman." So they knew how to get my attention. That's what it was. You didn't say you're going to meet a woman. They said, "Walk away." The voice said, "Walk away, you're going to meet a beautiful woman." I said, "EC," I said, "Yo, I'm going to be right back." I started walking because that's not the first time that I had an experience like that. So
right.
I listened to the voices. So I walked away and I ran into Mars, and then I ran into Hadia. Hadia has 2 sons. This says Hadia and her 2 sons. One of her sons is born on August 28th, the day Emmett Till is murdered. The other son is born on February 26th, the same day Trayvon Martin is murdered. Trayvon Martin murder was likened to the murder of a miscarriage of justice because Zimmerman got off. The son that's born on Trayvon Martin's birthday, he has Nefertiti right here. He has Nefertiti there. And I write about who Nefertiti is, the wife, the stepmother of King Tut, the wife of Akhenaten. And I write about, and that's the same tattoo that Tupac got. And I write about who Tupac was in his past life. I don't even get into that right now, but Tupac's name was Lisanne Paris Crooks. Lisanne can be scrambled to slain. Paris means per Isis, house of Isis, like Paris, like Nas, Kanye said niggas in Paris. Well, Paris, per Isis, house of Isis, and crook is the crook in the flail. The Hnkh is the crook. It's the staff of the ruler. So Tupac's born name at birth could be translated as the slain Nesut Bidi or Pharaoh from the house of Isis, the house of the ruler. So now I would come back to the festival wearing Emmett Till's t-shirt, and from DC would allow me to bend under his tent doing chair massage. I only worked on 2 people that day. The first person that sat in my chair, her name was Akua. Now, why is that significant? Because in ancient Kemet, the soul was broken into different parts. You had the Ka, which was the spirit. You had the Ba, which was the soul. You had the Ren, which was your name. You had your Aku, the Aku. Her name is Akua. She sits in my chair. She's a massage therapist and a Kemetic yoga instructor. She's the first person to sit in my chair. And when she sat in my chair, the old lady that took my picture on Sunday just happened to appear as I'm about to work on her. And she looks at me, says, "Picture?" And I said, "Yeah." She took my picture. That's the last time I've ever seen her. Right after that, that's when Hnkh Rising Sun, when I write about it right here, I said, "Brother Hnkh Rising Sun." Well, I said, was it Brother Hnkh Rising Sun or was it the mycelium? Now, I want to be very careful here. I said earlier that I didn't drink alcohol till I was 21.
Right.
I didn't smoke weed till I was 33. I stopped drinking alcohol at 33. So I'm not a person. I got high off of running fast first. I got high off of scoring touchdowns. I got high for driving. And I got high chasing females and all of that stuff right there. That's how you get with that. That's the only high I knew. You know what I mean? So I'm not a person that was seeking a high. But through the course of my journey, even here in 2013, I have a picture of like books. I bought a book by Terrence McKenna called, it was about, it had mushrooms on the cover of it, and it had different psychedelics. I never read the book all the way through, but I read some of it. But Brother Hnkh Rising Sun, I said, was it Hnkh Rising Sun or was it the mycelium? He didn't know me, or consciously he didn't know me, but he can say right now if I'm lying. Because what he said to me was, "Brother, you need psilocybin or ayahuasca." And he said, "You need psilocybin and ayahuasca." And I had been looking for both of them. And an hour later, I had some for the first time in my life. I was 40 years old. when I went through that Kemetic yoga course, I fasted for 20 days, only drinking water. I had been on a journey. I had gone on bouts of abstinence for a year and 7 months, a year and 3 months, 10 months. I had been a hermit. I stopped going to clubs. I stopped chasing females. So this ain't something where I'm delusional. You understand?
So so you took the psilocybin.
I went
right?
home. I went home.
And you took how much? How much did you take for
That's
that journey?
another thing. Right before I take the psilocybin, right before I write that, this whole thing right here is a disclaimer. I'm not going to read it all. I'll just read two sentences. After eating the sacred mushroom, my past life as Emmett Till was revealed to me. This is not to say that if anyone eats a psychedelic plant, that a past life will come. This is not true. As Baba Kalindi Iyi says, rest in power, Baba Kalindi Iyi. As Baba Kalindi Iyi says, some things are only experienced by the initiate that has earned the keys to those doors. So it don't matter how much Rufo you smoke, how much San Pedro, how many mushrooms you eat. If you haven't earned an experience, you're not going to get it. And at the end of it, I said, these plants are living sentient beings. And if you commune with them when you are not spiritually ready, you might find yourself on a hell of a trip. I'm trying to get you to see that there's a world out here beyond most of our senses that is trying to get our attention. It is always communicating with us. However, it is our frequency that is sometimes off. So I went home and I didn't take a lot.
Okay.
I took a few pieces and I ate them. And then a thought came to my mind. There we go with the 7 principles of Jehudi, right? A thought said, check your email. I checked my email, and the pictures that the old little woman had taken me that day were there. And this is the picture that I saw. I saw a picture of me, and I saw a picture of Emmett Till's face. And on the picture, the t-shirt was warped, and his face looked warped the way it did when it was mutilated. And for those people out there who have not communed with sacred medicines, you're not going to have a frame of reference. But the last thing that you should do is to judge something you haven't experienced. What I would like you to do is think about the movie Black Panther, right? Think about Black Panther at the end when T'Challa is dying and they give him the vibranium that is the source of all their civilization. And he goes to the underworld. The Osiris is the lord of the underworld. And he goes and he speaks to his father. Those things can happen. When you ingest certain things, if you are open to certain door, if you have checked the blocks and earned the keys to certain doors, you can have certain experiences that are like that.
Well, I will say one thing. This audience is definitely open to all types of medicines and doors and very curious about such. So a lot of them will totally relate to what you're saying. But my question is, so I know you didn't choose to say Emmett Till, but you do know this type of person, the way that he died, you know, what happened and everything. It's not the most glorious experience to connect yourself to. So did you struggle with that? Were you questioning that or saying, well, why this person? Or is it something that you just open up and accepted?
Thank you for that question. And I'll say it like this. I could just be real with you, and I'm gonna tell you.
Be real.
I'm gonna tell you that I have very mixed feelings with this. It took me 25 months to write this book, and before I answer that, let me just tell you how it came. When I ate the mushroom, the voice said, "Check your email." As soon as I saw that picture, as soon as I saw it, an explosion went in my head. My knees buckled. I almost fell back. I almost fell. I was standing up. My knees buckled and I almost fell. And I knew immediately that I was him. Immediately. But I also said, no, it's not true. I said, no, it's not true.
Right.
So if you can fathom that, immediately I knew it, but I said, no, it's not true. But there's something about knowing something. when you know something like that. I knew it, but I wanted to explain it away. So I already explained how I am with dates, right? So I said, all right, I Googled him immediately. I don't know I look like him. I don't find this out until about 5 months, 6 months later. I Google him and I say, okay, he's born on July 25th. That means nothing. We're both born on the 25th. I'm born October 25th. That means nothing. I'm trying to explain it away. And I'm going to get to the answer. I'm going to answer your question about how I feel, because there is some deep feelings that I have behind that. But I want to give the people what they want to hear. I think they want to know how I came to it. So then I watched the documentary on him, and I was all ears. And then I found out, because years ago I heard Mitchell Gibson talking about soul fragments, about how when you see, I picked up pieces of the puzzle different places as I was studying. I have around 700-800 books here that I would buy. I would hear Bobby Hemmett say a book, I would buy it and buy other books related to it. I would go on 125th Street, Nova, Willie, and from DC, say cool, all these brothers, I would buy their books. You understand? And so I'm watching this thing, and then I'm like, oh wait, he was murdered the same. No, then I'm gonna say he was shot right here, and because I know when Mitchell Gibson said that birthmarks are connected to the way that you may have died years ago, I always assumed, this is the funny part, I always assumed that I must have been a slave. I never said that I was a pharaoh. I said I must have been a slave that was rebellious, because I must have been cut or shot in the head here, and then here, and then ear cut off, shot in the heart. This one is a dot that comes right in the same spot in the back. I must have been castrated. My listen, hamstrings all on my thing, my feet, these black dots. What they are, highly melanated memory. They're genetic memory. That's what they are, right? So I thought that I was a slave that was, because of the way that I am and the way that I think, I'm anti this BS that we go through, right? I thought that I was that type of slave. So when I watched this documentary, I realized that all of his injuries are concurrent with where my black dots are. And then I realized that he was murdered the year that my mother was born. And then on July 25th, I would see a post that said Emmett Till would be 77 today. And I would be like, wow, I'm born in 77. And I said, what year was he born? I realized this before that. I realized that he was born in the year of the snake, 41. And I thought, I'm born in the year of the snake too. That's when the next day I came back to the fest. I knew I was him. I came back to, I told Hnkh, and he cried, because he the one that he told me, he don't know why he told me that, because the mycelium, all of these things, these plants, they have spirits. Right. And they have a spirit and entity of their own. So they spoke through him to speak to me, because I had earned the right to know.
Yes. Hold on now. Slow your roll for a second. For all those who are listening and will be listening in the future, the psychic impact of you saying you are Emmett Till returned, that brings forth the quiet trauma that has impacted every African American that has lived here in the States. And with that being said, I did cry, because I didn't even realize that pain was always walking with me. So the question I have for you now, have you thought of going where the woman is who accused your past life and confronting her and saying, I am Emmett Till and I have returned. I want you to see my face. Listen to me, my brother. Have you considered, for the healing of others who are listening to your story, will you take it to go see this woman who is still alive?
I'm going to answer that, but first I'm going to answer her question first, and then I'm going to go there, because they run concurrent about pain. I'm going to tell you, if someone rapes you, if someone is raped, they have groups that people can go through to deal with that, right? If you're an alcoholic, you have groups to go through to deal with that. You know, there are many types of traumas you go through where they have these networks where you can go. What I'm dealing with is not something that you can. First and foremost, when I first started saying it, I didn't know everything that I know now, and people just thought I was crazy. So there's a part of me. There's a part. If I could be 100%, there's a part of me. There's a part of anger, especially on at black people a little bit, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm not angry. Let me just qualify. I'm not angry at them, but sometimes it's one thing to be murdered in a certain way. It's another thing to do the things you need to do to earn and to remember that life. And to be talking to people that look at you with like deer in headlights. And all they ever want to do is remember Emmett Till. They want to remember the murder, but they don't want to they don't want to acknowledge the rebirth. See, here's the reality of it. So to answer your question, brother Hnkh Rising Sun, in 2000, on January 30th of 2015, a woman that I was training in this studio for the first time told me that I have a guardian that was the first time I was made known that I have a spirit standing in my hallway. And she drew the person. She drew the person. Hold on.
Family, I'm bringing this up because the memories and our history impacts all of us. We're all connected. So I'm asking this question to see how our brother will pave the future and how we will address trauma, karma, and forgiveness. So this is why
it's not
I'm
necessarily
asking this question on behalf of all of us.
Okay, so this is the picture that was drawn. Okay, it's in the book, January 30th. This is the picture that was drawn. So there's a reason why I would realize who this person is years later. The woman. She said this is an ancestor. It says ancestor right there. But because the black woman that saw her knows black history, this entity hid their face because she didn't want the person to know who she was. That's why she couldn't see the face. But this was a white man. The white man was ashamed, and it was like the black woman had him she was walking him through. This was 2015. I don't realize I'm in it until 2018. So this book is about spirits, about seeing spirits. So, but I would realize years later that man is the man that murdered me. So when it comes to the woman that had something to do with it, I'm not worried about her. I don't care about her going to jail. I don't care about none of that because the time in between lives, see, this thing called life, like I was saying before, the body is a distiller of the soul. The earth that we're on is a class, and we're here to raise ourselves up. To know who you were in a past life is not the purpose of life.
Okay, hold on, brother. Hold on a second.
Yes.
You just can't ride over that. You brought up, in your experience, that you are Emmett Till.
Yes.
Everyone in this audience now and in the future, we are Emmett Till. So what I am saying and asking you is, how do you address the fact for not only you, but all the Emmett Till listening to you who have been traumatized by terrorism here in this country for 400 years or more? How do you address the woman who was the reason your past incarnation was crucified? And how do you, on our behalf, address this? And take your time, brother, because this is deep. We're going into the psyche of African Americans, indigenous people throughout the country and the world. Take your time.
And I just want to interject a little bit here. There is currently some ongoing news regarding this particular topic where people are asking for her to. There was a warrant out for her arrest years ago. I don't know if people knew about it years ago, but it's coming up now, and people are considering: do we, let this go, or do we pursue it? Do we forgive? Do we, in becoming a better person? Like you were saying, you were doing all these things so that you're a better human being. Like, so moving forward, you know, how would you address it? And who knows what the next person might do, you know, considering they, you know, figure out the same thing.
Well, I'll say this. I would be lying if you said I don't remember my life as Emmett Till. I don't remember that life.
Right.
You understand? You know, I don't remember that life. But he had a cousin named Wheeler Parker that was there with him in the house. My grandmother's name is Juanita Parker. I came through the same family line. I look just like myself. I came here with a mission. My mission was to, and it wasn't guaranteed that I would remember to put the members back again like the body of Osiris. Mm-hmm. I had to earn the right. And like I said, Marcus Garvey said it will only take 24 hours once we all decide that it's ours. So for the other Emmett Tills, for the other Sandra Blands, it's bigger than Emmett Till, it's bigger than Sandra Bland, it's bigger than Tutankhamun, it's bigger than Marcus Garvey, it's bigger than Deborah, and it's bigger than Hnkh Rising Sun. It's about all of us. I'm saying we have to remember who we are, and we need to embody the characteristics of the people of the Nile Valley instead of walking around and saying, "Hey, queen, hey, king," you need to become those people. You know, become it. Look, I'm not mourning over. I've only had one time. The only time that I cried and struggled with my life as Emmett is when I wrote the whole story of Emmett Till in January. I many tears between 2009 and here writing the music. When I wrote for Lavina Johnson and Khalif Browder, Lavina Johnson, I know her spirit was in here that made me write for her. Khalif Browder too, Sandra Bland, Corinne Gaines. Writing these music brought tears. I cried tears for all these people when I'm up late at night writing this music. So the thing about it is that I could care less what happens to that woman. I honestly could care less. What we need to do is we need to unite as a people. We need to remember who we are as a people and to unite as one people. That's what we need to do. That's part of the reason I know that why I'm here. All right. So Emmett Till's life was a sacrifice. And so I could tell you who the other people in ancient Kemet were, but if I try to tell you who King Tut was supposed to be, you would think that I'm crazy. You understand?
Okay, 1 second, brother. Hold up now. We can't just brush this past because all of us presently in this country, we're in what a recent term that I found to be interesting. We're in a time of trauma.
Yes, we are.
And this trauma, and what we have to do, because you brought up the name Emmett Till, you tapped into the trauma of every African American who was alive then and alive now. So the Pharaoh part, we understand that, but getting back to the Emmett Till, we want to hear how you are going to elevate us, because you can't just say, I haven't thought about that life because you brought up that life. Now we got to go ahead and roll into the life of Emmett Till and what you remember. And if you don't remember yet, that's okay. But we are Emmett Till. So how are you going to forgive this woman? Are you going to step to her? Are you going to do entheogen so that you remember? We want to know about that because we are Emmett Till.
All right. So listen, in one of my lives, my name was Earl Johnson. I worked with Harriet Tubman. I was a scout. I used to see things before they happened. That's one of my lives. I write about 7 lives here. Emmett Till was a life that I came here with a task. And the reality is that there are greater souls. If you let me tell it, I already know how powerful my story is. I could sit and gloat about it all day. But the reality of it is that there's always someone bigger. In this generation of young starseeds that are here, that in the age of knowing, that have the internet, that they at 11 and 12, they can know and study their ancestors. Some greater person than me I might not change the world, but I'll spark the brain that do, like Pac said. You know what I'm saying? So listen, forgiving her, I don't have. I'm sorry. I do not forgive her. I probably would never, and that's something I'm not spending time trying to heal on forgiving her. I would probably never forgive her, and I'm kind of stuck a little bit because I when I look at all the dynamics mathematically that are connected with this, parts of me feels like it was supposed to happen. Like I just can't understand it. Like and please don't I never want to say that things like Tamir Rice or Sandra, that these things are supposed to happen, but I can't spend no energy worried about her. I'm not worried about that. I'm moving forward.
Okay,
You know?
I want to share with you, give you some reference. There has been more than one story of a child being born, remembering their previous lifetime, their previous incarnation. And this has been through various news streams. And they would literally go to the place somewhere in their life. They would actually confront the person that killed them, if it was a male child or if it was a female child. They would also describe in detail who the person was and what happened with details only the detectives knew. Now, you brought up the name Emmett Till, and that triggers every brother and sister in America and beyond. So we have to see how you address the past life trauma that is also our trauma. Are you going to forgive them? Are you going to confront them? Because this will be a healing springboard for all the listening audience now and in the future. We just can't suppress. We can't push it down and say, yeah, I was Emmett Till, but I was also, we can't do that. We have to release the dreams, as in Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you, thank you. Or we have to even go deeper than Emmett Till and say, well, who were you before you was Emmett Till? Was you a KKK Grand Knight? This is very deep. We're going into the fabric of this country. And when you say those key words, we can relate more to Emmett Till than we can relate to Pharaoh, because it's a direct lineage of our grandfathers, our uncles, our aunts. So that's why I said, hold up, brother, because my family's from down south. Father's family's from Virginia. My mom's family's from North Carolina. So that is why we're just taking the time, because this is healing not only for you, it's a healing for all of us. So we're spending time on this because nobody in our conscious community, no one in the progressive circles have ever just said and dialogued on something that hurts all of us to our soul. So let's, think about it.
Well, to speak to that is that, like I explained, the only time that I shed tears was writing the story. And I'll say this, I even wrote this in a book. I think I might know more. I think I might know more about this story than anybody else. It's probably other than the people that lived it. I researched more about this than you wouldn't believe, all the things that I know about that case that are not common knowledge. And when it got to the point when they were coming to the house to get him, and there's a point where it says, you won't need shoes where you're going. Because I don't know whether I wrote this in a book. I don't know if I really remember that or if I've just internalized it. I don't know what it is, but I felt like I had remembered that moment in that room. But I'm going to tell you, because of the nature of the life doesn't come until 418. This book is about my past life as Emmett, but it's about past life, yeah, but it's also about honoring your ancestors. It's about changing your life. It's about detoxing yourself, because it's not about a past life. Is not about knowing who you are in a past life. Like I was saying to Deborah earlier, like everybody has a soul. Everybody comes to earth so that they can raise their consciousness, right? So that they can ascend Christ consciousness, Jed, pillar of Asar, Kundalini energy, serpentine energy. coming up, raising one's consciousness. That's what we're here to do, right? And we come again and we come again, and sometimes we don't even remember like a dream from yesterday. So, but the thing about it is that everybody comes here with a mission. Everybody comes here with a mission. And so, just like the soles of your feet, people come here. Some people come to be a sprinter, and their life is to sprint. Some people come to be a hiker. We wear different shoes, different journeys in life. You know, so I came here with a mission to connect this. And because I connected the certain dots, the voice came to me, said, meet this woman. We're gonna meet a woman. Then I met the woman. And then I connected this. I met a certain check, and then the old woman took my picture, and then they led me to you. But it's not just that; it's all throughout the book. It's about dreaming things before they happen. It's about astral projection. It's about sleep paralysis. It's about being clubbing. It's about being misogynistic with females. You understand? But it's about changing. It's about transformation, Keperu. So as much as I do not spend. I am too happy. I don't look at my life as immaterial as a sorry thing. I'm liberated from that. I'm liberated.
Okay. Hold on, brother. What brought peace to my awareness about the colonial terrorism is when I read the book written in 1765 by author Fabre d'Olivier, Hermeneutic Interpretations of the Social Status of the Adamic Race. And in the first few chapters, he described the Black race defining themselves not as Negroes, not as Africans, but masters of the universe. At means master, Lant means universe. And the Europeans were our slaves because we had superior technology in science, military, finance, and where, according to Fabre d'Olivier, everywhere you find pyramids, these were the ancient ruins of Atlanteans, or the Black race, or the Black and the Brown race. And when, according to Edgar Cayce, the Atlanteans created an outer city before Atlantis sunk, and Edgar Cayce said his name was, what was his name? Something like Ra. He went with Tahuti to the outer parts of the world and established an Atlantean colony in what is now known as Kemet, prior to the sinking of Atlantis. So this is what brings peace, because there's a karmic connection with all of the races on the Earth's surface. Going forward, presently Europeans remember being our slaves, and we, through the cycle of karma, forgot that we forgot. And the reason I asked about when you triggered Emmett Till, I started crying when you said it, because that trauma is carried from one generation to the other. I might have been crying my father's tears because I didn't remember Emmett Till when I was little, but we all, by morphic resonance, by being frequency connected. So collectively, we are Emmett Till. So once we understand who we are as the masters of the universe that fell and forgot, then we can simply know that our previous slaves have rose up against us in the form of colonial terrorism, because we as a people, they were our step-on slaves throughout Europe, and we don't have any access to multiple books of ancient Kemet 12,000 years ago, because it's not 6,000, the year 6,000 and so, as someone recently told me. That's a Jewish or a Hebrew timeline. Our timeline is missing a few zeros. So that's the reason I brought it up, because in talking about this is also healing for me and the collective community. And those who are in the churches and don't understand this, it's okay. But for us, it's about realizing we are more than our bodies, and we are more than our trauma, and we are more than our memories. We are I am, and we are great. As you speak and remind us in your book that we are more than we ever imagined. We feel good. We get a shot of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. When you say, "Yeah, I was a pharaoh," yeah, but we was also street sweepers. We was also sewage collectors. We are everything that ever was, ever is, or ever will be, and that's why I am honored to have you on the platform. We are Alpha and Omega. We are all that. And for you, young blood, to be sitting here and written a book of 600 pages. You should have met Miss Bliss, because you could have broke that book up into 3 sections. Because that's a movie script, brother.
I'm writing another book.
Could you imagine that?
The next book I'm writing is going to be I'm going to release it on November 4th. It's going to be a novel version of this book, because this is intimidating for people. But this is a very, very detailed book. But I just wanted to mention something. I saw King Simon in here, and I was looking at the
King Simon. Yes.
I remember King Simon at, I think it was at the Melanin. It was either at the Melanin conference or it was at the Dr. Ben going away ceremony. But it was at the Black National Theater, and they would say that he was a master mathematician. And I was having all of these numerology, these mathematical stuff, and all the spiritual stuff happening to me. And I would go to him and I would say, "Hey, I was visited by Jean-Jacques Dessalines." So I had stuff like that happening, and he would look at me like I was crazy. So this book is not just about the past lives. This book is about those people out there who are having these types of experiences, and it's about transformation. It's about coming into being. You can buy the book online at Barnes and Nobles or Amazon. The book is $88 online. If you buy it from me, I'm selling it at sliding scale. You can pay starting at 55, the year that Emmett was murdered. My mother was born in 55. You can pay me 55, 66, 77, 89. You can buy 55, 66, 77, 88, 99, 111, 222, 333, 444, 555, whatever you want to
Listen,
pay.
bro, don't worry about the sales, because we bringing up all this that we're speaking on is connected with the book. The book's going to move, but we're touching on something that's very deep. And what you're sharing with us is that we are more than one lifetime.
We are immortal.
That is why
we come back here.
I'm glad that you're on the platform, because we are more than one lifetime.
I would certainly have to say I am grateful. I did speak to you about, because he just came out of nowhere and shared it. Oh, King Simon. So grateful for you. I want to say that TutemRa, a lot of your our conversations, it actually helped me, and that's why I was connecting a lot of the dots myself, because of my conversations with you. I experienced deja vu. I've experienced it for many, many years, and I always fought it, because we're not raised this way. We're not raised to believe in all this spirituality and, everything in Egypt and, King Tut and deja vu and spirits and gods and goddesses. And so it was difficult for me to embrace that. So you actually helped me, with that. In addition to Hnkh, with all the medicines that I'm, taking and helping me on that journey, so that I could connect the dots also and figure out, what exactly is going on here and how I can be a better person and of better service. So grateful.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure meeting you. I met Deborah at Hnkh Rising Sun's house with the snake therapy. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know, so deja vu. Speaking of deja vu, many people think deja vu is just they think it's they always connect it to past life. But I'll explain that on page 305 of my book. It's 305 is October 16th of 2015. On that day, I would say, I want to remember my dream. And that very night, I would have a dream of a dolphin. I was on a boat. I was like in a nice canoe. Everything was very colorful. And I said, and I saw a dolphin jump out. It was a dolphin or a whale, and it jumped out. I write dolphin in the book, but I think it was a dolphin. It jumped out, splashed water on me, and then I woke up. The next night, I dreamt of an open wooden space. Like, you know, you go into a new apartment and it's nothing but wood.
Right.
And then the third night, I would dream that I was with pay attention to this. It's 2015. I hadn't seen my high school sweetheart since 1999. I would never dreamed about her before. I would dream about her. I was walking up the subway station with her, and she was holding a little boy's hand. Subway station, the underworld. The dream itself is the underworld, right? Mm-hmm. As soon as I woke up from the dream, my aunt texted me. Like I opened my eyes, and then my phone went ding. And it was a text from my aunt that said, "Who is the person in the picture with such and such, my high school sweet?" And I'm thinking like I just woke from the dream, and my aunt sends me a text about her. Apparently, her sister-in-law, who was a Haitian, had died of cancer. So let me explain to you what happened. First, I'll tell you that the second dream, on January 1st, I will be given an open wooden space studio to train my clients out of for the winter, for next to nothing. So I saw that, but I dreamt it before it happened. So with deja vu, sometimes we're dreaming most of the time, every night. You just don't have the frequency to pull it back when you wake up most of the time. You're not thinking about it. You don't have the frequency to bring it back. Right. So deja vu is sometimes when you dream something, you wake up, you don't remember it. But as soon as you get to that point that you dreamt about, you have this feeling, of familiarity, because you don't know that you dreamt it before, but you'd already been there in your dream. You astral projected in your dream. So now what happened? You said what?
Hank, what?
She's agreeing with you, brother. That's
yeah. So then what happened is this now. So if you break down what happened, I said, so people out there who want to dream, this is the genie that you rub. You rub the genie with your thought. This is the genie. This is the temple bone. Right. This is the temple. This is the divine body, right? So I thought that I want to dream. My astral body said, okay, he wants to dream. Give him a dream. The next night, it gave me a premonition. The third night, it said, let's take him to somebody. Or not better yet, somebody that he was in love with is in pain. Go to her. You understand? So different things like that in this book. Astral projection, dreams, different things like this. This book covers all of that. And
hold on, brother. Before we move through the book, and have you considered writing a letter with your picture and forgiving the woman that caused your past life to be experienced? Have you thought of taking a picture of yourself and saying, and I'm still alive and I forgive you? Have you considered that? I want you to just think about it. Don't even rush with the answer, brother, because I'm not talking about for you. Listen to me. I'm not talking about on your behalf. I'm talking about on the behalf of every African American living in America who was impacted with that trauma. Have you thought of taking a picture, sending her this letter to say, and I still live, and I still rise, and I forgive you? And you don't have to answer it. I just want you to think about it.
Well,
because that will elevate all of us
I think
as
about
a
that,
people.
but I also want to tell you, I wrote about a story that came out last year. There was this white woman who was going through nursing school. She made a video of it, going through nursing school, and there was another white woman she was taking care of. She was dying of COVID. And this white woman was dying of COVID, and she was hallucinating. She was seeing a black boy standing there in the room. Nobody else saw the black boy in the room. And she's the deathbed confessions, right? She told the nurse that she caused when she was 15, she caused a black boy to get lynched. She told her father that he had touched her behind the building, but he never did that. She was just angry that the boy's sisters had better dresses than her, so she lied on him. The father and the other white people lynched the boy, ran the family out the town, burned the house, and on her deathbed, she was hallucinating, she wasn't hallucinating, she was seeing the young boy. And she asked the nurse, is there any way I could be forgiven? And the nurse said, the only person that can forgive you is that boy. So just like I showed you the picture of this guy, Roy Bryant, that was standing in my hallway, I could care less about what happens to her, because the time in between bodies, the time that she got to pay for after this, I laugh at that.
Yes,
you know?
brother, but you can't just take it lightly.
But see,
you bring up listen to me now. Relax and fall back and listen to me.
Okay.
When you use a trigger name of trauma and pain of Emmett Till, you can't just brush that off because we are Emmett Till. We are Emmett Till. So you just can't brush it off and say, Emmett Till, I am Emmett Till. Everyone listening and generations to come, we are Emmett Till. So you are in a position that you say you are the soul of Emmett Till return. So it is your duty to correctly guide the collective consciousness of African Americans, Native Americans, everyone who's experienced trauma, how to transcend it. So this is something that you can mull over, and we can come back to this show after you've done your mushroom meditation on this. But this is something that has to be addressed, even if it's not today, because you just can't say, oh, I'll brush it off because you pulled us in. So you have to also elevate us. Shit.
I say, and I'll think about it, but I'm trying to pull people into something else. I'm trying to pull people into the depths of who they are.
Yes, but you can't rush us, because what you did was you pulled us into your book, your reality.
Yes.
So what you have to do, now that you hooked us in, it's like you just can't brush it off. That's almost like you saying, you're going to go out on a date tonight. I want to just see if I can pull this sister. And then you do, and then you say, oh, it wasn't all that important. See ya. You can't do nobody like that. You're going to have to say, thank you, sister. You helped encourage my confidence, because before you said yes to me, I didn't feel worthy. We are, as I said, a junkyard of wounded souls, and we're working our way through this. We are all got traumas, and we're all earthbound, and we're trying to work through and ascend, reach a higher frequency.
Did you know that there were black men? Do you know that there were black men that came to the house to help pull Emmett Till out the house?
Oh no, I didn't know that.
I mean, there were two black men that held me as Emmett down. So, I mean, when pardon his fire truck.
That's timing, brother. That's timing. Cosmic timing to hear that crisis of a fire truck when you said that.
So when Roy Bryant and them came to the house, they seemed to know the floor plan. Okay? So it wasn't just white people.
Ooh,
we have
talk about it now.
Black people, dude, not every brother is a brother. I respect your brother Hnkh Rising Sun. I always tell you I love you, man. I thank you, man. And I'm hearing you what you're saying, but I've been dealing with this for 4 years. And when it first happened, people look at me, and for the most part, most people still look at me like I'm crazy, because while they waiting for Jesus to come back, they don't understand that the whole story of Jesus is resurrection. Who is it that you say that I am? Some say that you're John the Baptist, Jeremiah, one of the great.
Stay focused, brother. You on the platform because I believe in you.
Yes.
All right. This is magnets, crystals, and pyramids.
Yes.
So we are addressing something for the purpose of transcending and elevating. All right, so we got to keep our eyes on the prize. Look at the cover of your book. It's dealing with Alpha and Omega of the past is connected to the future, and the future is connected to the past. So beyond the book, this is healing of our souls. Beyond the book, brother, is healing of our souls.
It
So
says,
in the conversation, listen, fall back, brother.
Mhm.
We see
Yeah.
the book, but fall back and listen to me. We're dealing with a healing of our people throughout this country and every colonized country in the world today. How to address trauma from colonization. And that's what's key about this show. We are an hour and a half in, and people want keys for freedom. And part of that is realizing we are more than our bodies. We are more than our bodies. And being that we are more than our bodies, we can forgive immature souls like a dirty t-shirt flung into the laundry basket. And then buy your book.
I just got overcome with chills. I did not read this. I told you the only time when I was writing the hardest part of this book was to write the story of Emmett Till. That was the hardest part. And on January 18th of 2020, I came across a video of Mammy Till, Emmett Till's father, Emmett Till's mother, my mother in a previous life. And this is what she said. I watched the video of my mother, Mammy Till Mobley, from an interview she did on July 25th, 1985. And in this interview, she would say the most profound thing I could hear her say. She was asked whether or not it was appropriate to speak of my murder in terms of biblical prophecy. The interviewer suggested that maybe Black people perceived my death as a calling back of my soul for a mission that was greater than college or life on earth, that my murder was prophecy. He asked her if this might be a difficult way to look at her loss, and she replied, and her reply astonished me. She responded, "It might be a difficult thing to say, but I know the experience that I had." Now, remember what I said. I heard a voice in my head, right? That said, "Walk away, you're going to meet a woman." And then that woman heard a voice that said, "Look up," and we saw each other. And we were, right? So then she says that I had an experience of almost a one-on-one conversation with a being outside of myself. And I have to identify that being as God, because the devil would not come to me with anything of this nature. A voice told me it was ordained from the beginning of time that Emmett would die a sacrificial death. Be happy to have been the mother of a child who died blameless like Christ. But he has done his job now. Emmett has done his job. Now there's a job for you to do. Continue to tell the story so man's consciousness will be aroused and justice can at last prevail.
All right, brother. Hold on. Hold 1 second now. Hold on. Emmett Till's family may be very well alive and listening to the show. So if they were hearing you now, what would you say to the family members of Emmett Till? What would you say to them?
When I was writing the story of Emmett Till, I Googled Wheeler Parker, who was the cousin that was there. And I found his number and I called it. I called his name Wheeler, like the wheels of life. Wheeler Parker was 16 years old. I was 14 years old. He was my older cousin. And he took his call to ministry. He became a preacher in 1977, the same year I was born. And he said he never cried at the funeral because he couldn't believe that was Emmett. He always felt like he would see him again. So I wrote something to him in a book. But I called, and he's a pastor. And I left a message. And then I think I called again. And someone picked up, a woman picked up. And I realized that, listen, my own family, most of them, they starting to see it. But in the beginning, the only thing they could ever see is Dawood. TutemRa, their name is Dawood. You're not Emmett, you're Dawood. So my own family in this life, I learned something from them. So going
on,
to
brother.
his
You was
family.
talking about his cousin. Go back to that because I didn't quite catch what you were saying because you moved on to another topic. You said that you called his cousin. Please finish that part.
I called him. I called Wheeler. Oh yeah, I called Wheeler Parker. I called Wheeler Parker, and his wife picked up. And I was careful about how I presented what it is that I wanted to say. When I left the message, I said, I'm calling about Wheeler Parker's call to ministry. And I'm calling about the book of Matthew, about because he's a pastor. I said, I'm calling about the book of Matthew. And in the book of Matthew, Jesus is talking about reincarnation. And Wheeler always said that he felt like he would see Emmett again. He couldn't cry because he didn't feel like that was in him. He always felt like he would see him again. I watched many documentaries, and like this is from what he said in the documentaries. So I didn't call and say, hey, I was Emmett. I tried to lead into it. And as I led into it, we got to that part, and a woman said, so you saying that you was Emmett Till in another life? And I said, yes. And she said, no, we don't believe that. He will not be calling you back. Click.
Wow. So that's the only connection you've had with Emmett Till's family? Did you ever visit
I honestly didn't even want to say that here because I kind of don't want to bother them with that. But one thing I'm not going to do is not tell my story. I've not ever planned to call them back. I don't want to. They've been dealing with this murder for 67 years. Wheeler feels guilty. You understand?
Yeah.
So I've been dealing with it for 4 years, but I'm less connected to it because I don't really remember it. Do you understand? They harbor the pain. I don't. You know, I feel victorious actually.
Okay, brother. And I want to thank you for what you're sharing. But that was very courageous of you to do, to make that phone call. And we needed to hear that for our healing. We needed to hear that. And this, I have no idea with the resonant frequency, how far this story of yours will ripple throughout YouTube universe. But this is very powerful because until the Nicene Council, Christianity practiced reincarnation. Until the Nicene Council, when the empire became the Roman Catholic Church, Christianity practiced reincarnation and also believed in karma. So
in 533 AD, Justinian I, who was at Eastern Rome, on page 593 of my book, I write about Origen and Justinian and this Roman emperor who took in 533 AD, they took reincarnation out of the Bible so that the church could exercise more power over the people. So if they thought that they had to go through the church to reach God, then they would stay in the church. And this caused a problem because now it's like, well, where does the soul come from? Where does it go? This is where they created purgatory, original sin. They created all these things during the Nicaea conference and all those times. You know, so you're right. Reincarnation was a very intricate because it all comes from ancient Kemet. It's a copy from Kemet, Peru, right? So this is just this right here, the repetition of the soul taken again and again and again.
Thank you. You said it very well. And I even took the time to place in Buddhism, they believe in karma.
Yes.
Here it is here.
Karma.
It doesn't care. It doesn't matter if you don't believe that every action causes an opposite and equal reaction. It happens anyway because this is physics. This isn't metaphysics. This is physics. Even down to relationships. It's all energy. Here's another one. Here's another one. It's cyclical. So saying all that, brother, I want to thank you for your excellent presentation. I want to thank all of the comments because it's hot up in here, brother. Folks is in there, AC, King Simon, he's lit. I have never seen King Simon get so lit on a show. He's talking about, look, reincarnation is in the Gnostic Bible.
Gnostic Bible.
Thank you for that, Brother King. And all the comments in the chat. Here's one. Here's the last one. Read it.
Yeah, I'm not angry. I actually feel sad for this woman because I already know. I've had in my book. I'm dealing with ghosts and spirits and things and stuff like this. So I already know what she got coming for her. So this 80 years, 100 years in a human body is nothing. You know, the soul. The time you spend outside of a body can feel like an eternity, and you could only be dead for a week, but that time feel like an eternity. You know what I mean?
Thank you. We're getting ready to wrap it up, man. I want something more than water and tea right now.
Mm-hmm.
Brother King dropped another one. You see what he's saying?
Buy the book. Mm-hmm. So also, can you quickly mention, so you're going to be at the cafe, what day and what time, just in case people want to come out there and support
and if you. Can, type it out in the chat so that I could copy it, put it in the show description.
Okay. Hnkh Cafe, 763 St. Nicholas Avenue, Harlem. That's Hnkh Cafe. It's this Thursday. It is this Thursday from 6 to 10. From 6 to 10, I'll be doing. I'll be telling some of my story. I'll be doing some of my poetry. And I only have about 18 books left on hand. And then from there, I have some more in the mail. If you buy the book from me, you can pick what you want to pay me, and then you can get an autograph. If you buy it online, you pay what it is online.
Hold on, brother. There's a baseline as far as how much that book cost.
Hey, listen,
and you got to give a suggested donation because our folks will drop $1 on you, man, and think it's all right because you said it.
55 is good.
You start from 55, 66. It's angel numbers. All the way up to 5. The most someone's paid me for my book so far is $111. You understand?
Right.
So
because on Amazon, the last I looked earlier today,
it's $88.
What was it? 100? No, it's $109.
You see, here's the thing. Here's the thing about that, and these publishing companies, this is the reason why I have it at it. See, here's another thing. I'm writing another book, a novel that's going to be $22. It's going to be 200 pages, and I'm going to release it 100 years to the day that my tomb was discovered. This book was released 100 years on my father's birthday on June 1st. This book came out, but this is the big book. But these companies, they do stuff like, I don't really know how it works. I never wanted to write a book before. I never thought about writing a book, but this whole process, you upload it and then you got these other pages that are selling it. I don't know if I'm going to get paid for it. I'm trying to figure this all out. Whole, when I send them I wrote my book. I edited my book. I did the cover design. I did the text design. I did the illustrations. Nobody did anything for my book. I did everything. Usually you write your book, you send it to a publishing house and they fix it and lay it out for you. I did everything. You know what I'm saying? Wow. But so it's and I did it in 25 months. So with this book though, at some point, I want to be able to give the book away for free to some people. That's why you could pay me $222. You could pay me $55. You could pay me. I know how much my book is worth. It's worth a lot of money. I paid a lot of money for books before, but I want to be able to. I want people who can't afford to pay for the book to still have the book.
Hold on, brother. Hold on a second. And I got to say this.
Yes,
I appreciate your sincerity. Here in this country, people have been socially conditioned
to be poor,
to believe that anything worthwhile you got to pay for. Now you can't take a 600-page book and give it away for free because folks they're not wired and they're not conditioned to appreciate that. Exactly. You have a baseline, a minimum donation because you took your time, you sacrificed socializing, finger popping to write this amazing story for the healing of people worldwide. This isn't just an interview in New York City. This is going global. So you are worthy. You are worthy. Yes, I am worthy to be compensated for the written art form of your book. And family, we have to honor our artists, our
Yes.
craftsmen.
Yes.
King Simon has written multiple books, and he'll tell you the same thing. Know your worth. And
All
then
of your
others will follow.
time, all of your energy, all of your research, all of your thoughts, all of your presentations.
Let me please speak to
If
this.
it's
I know
$55,
that-
it is.
I know we're
It is
closing
what
out
it is.
here. We're closing out. Let me close it out like this. I used to make $100,000 training clients downtown. Like I said in the beginning, my grandfather died. When I stepped out of it, when I left the army, I didn't never look for a job. I actually prayed I was going to stay in the army. I was in a special ops unit. They recruited me there. They had given me, I had airborne, air assault, Pathfinder. I had all the dates lined up for me. They wanted me to be an instructor. But I said a prayer for the first time in my life. And that was the first time I followed a sign. And I got out the army because a sign told me to. I followed the sign. I didn't have a plan. I walked into a gym. I was given a job. You know who gave me a job? This dude that looked like a Haitian friend from high school. I thought it was him. Haitian friend, but it wasn't him. That Haitian friend of mine is born on July 3rd, the same day I had the same day I had my past life revelation. I became a trainer. I began to amass money. I began to make lots of money. I made 6 figures. And then my grandfather died. And then I live in Harlem. I would come back to Harlem and I would see black people out of shape. And I would say, and I was making a lot of money down there. $120 an hour, packages of 20. I was getting $9,000 from cash from clients, but then I came to Harlem and I wanted to work with black people and I lowered my rates and I let them pay me what they want to. And so I went broke because they wouldn't pay me but I went to school. I got my Army GI Bill. I went through this journey. I realized who I am. Emmett Till was murdered in Money, Mississippi. As much as I care, I really don't care about money to that degree. I want to make money off of my work, but it's more than money. I was murdered in Money, Mississippi. And the problem with us is we do anything for money. You understand? That's our problem sometimes. We do anything for money. And I'm not the type to do anything for money. I gave my book yesterday. I took 4 books to 125th Street. I sold all 4 of them. One brother, he only had $25. He said he would cash at me the rest. I signed the book, gave it to him. And if he send it back to me, he send it back to me. If he don't, then he don't.
Yeah, well, getting back to the focus.
Yes.
We bless you. This link you can share with others. I want to thank all the listening audience for this amazing show today. Thank you, TutemRa. Thank you, Miss Bliss Deborah. And thank you, the listening audience, for this collective healing now and also in the future. Because you touched on a very tender wound of pain that is silently has been walking with us. And hopefully in a small way, we have elevated and released the pain. So thank you, everyone. Ashe.
Say often, yes, I am. Supreme shield of protection surrounding me. Yes, I am. Yes, I am remembering all I was born to do. Yes, I am. Take hold of your crystal, which will magnify your I am affirmations at least 600%.